So you might be wondering what that autistic screeching was. Well, that was from a Resident Evil purist, but not just any purist. No. I happen to have some history with said RE Purist because they used to be a member of the IAS when we were formerly known as the TCP. To keep a long story short, this former member is a very stupid individual, and the comment alone should be more than enough proof to show you that he's a very stupid individual. But I digress. There's been a lot of experiences that I've had with this individual where they've tried to correct me on things. They have tried to tell me how I should feel about specific products that I have more experience with as opposed to himself. There have been times where he has tried to argue that other people have been being mouthpieces for me just because I didn't want to talk to the guy. But again, it's a long story and I would rather keep this short. So let's just break down the stupidity of this comment and just show what it is that makes this comment backfire on itself.
When it comes to them affecting gameplay, yes, it does end up affecting gameplay because it affects the replayability of the game. Because, it will go back through the game over and over again to unlock the costume they want to use, then go back through again to see how they look in cutscenes and such.
No, it doesn't. And you would have to be an absolute idiot to believe that that is the case. The only time that I could personally agree with that statement is if we were to get costumes similar to the knight costume that was featured in Resident Evil 4, which gave Ashley infinite health. She was able to take any melee and firearm damage and not be affected by it at all. That impacts gameplay. But as far as what we have seen with the Resident Evil 2 remake, everything thus far has been nothing but cosmetic changes with no gameplay impact. The only thing that can really impact the game, and this is just a minor visual change, if anything, is the filter setting that you get with the noir costumes. But other than that, it really doesn't actually make an impact to the gameplay itself.
You also have to consider this is a remake, and people expect those costumes to be there. And very early on, Capcom said the reason for changing and updating them was for the sake of realism. In a zombie game. Sorry, to me realism and practicality in a game about killing zombies and monsters with eyeballs coming out of their chest makes no damn sense at all. It's a fantasy, and it's not real. And I just felt that it was a poor excuse for Capcom not to add the original costumes into a remake of a game from the 90s.
Get down!
That's strange because I could have sworn that Capcom made an announcement trailer stating that there would be 2 classic costumes as free unlockable content. Yeah, I could have sworn that there were 2 free unlockable costumes for Leon and Claire. One for Leon and one for Claire. And granted, while people were not fans of the Claire Classic costume because it was not entirely accurate, for the most part, people were satisfied that there would be classic costumes present within the game. And for the most part, the way that I took it is, despite Claire's costume not being that good, you could always just mod them slightly to where they look exactly like the original costumes if need be, as soon as mods roll out and they are available for said game on PC. But I guess people don't understand how PC modding works, or maybe people are willing to be blissfully ignorant like yourself, Gabriel, but I don't know, you tell me.
By the way, how have we gotten to the point where people are arguing for less content in their $60 games?
Who the fuck is arguing for less content in their games? I genuinely want to know.
Take the Final Fantasy VII Remake, for example. If all of a sudden Cloud was wearing a clown wig and had a huge stick on his back instead of a buster sword as his default outfit, people would be understandably pissed off.
Is it just me, or does that seem like something the Final Fantasy community would mod into Final Fantasy VII's remake as a joke cosmetic mod? I'm just saying, it just sounds like it would be a great fucking joke cosmetic mod, and I've seen some of the Final Fantasy 15 mods, and they're fucking hilarious.
Also, I don't get this let's wait until the game comes out then address this stuff type of mindset, because it's best to address it while they're still making the game. That way they can see the fan demand for the old costumes and try to use any remaining resources to go that extra mile.
Slow, slow. What your story, slowpoke? Slow, slow, slow. What your story, slowpoke?
Well, honestly, if I was going to tell you to wait, it would be because of the gameplay aspects of the game and not the cosmetics. The cosmetics are very, very low on the list as far as my personal concerns of what Resident Evil 2 Remake is going to be like. My concerns were the gameplay and the character portrayals, as well as some of the content that we'd be seeing. And as far as that is concerned, I've pretty much gotten everything that I was hoping for, so I'm really not concerned about this remake whatsoever. It seems to me like your only main focus or main concern is some fucking cosmetics, and I wouldn't be surprised if your other concern is just some fucking camera angles as well, because that's just really fucking pathetic. If you really don't like the game, if you really don't, there's a simple fucking solution, and it's called voting with your wallet. You can choose not to buy the game. Surprisingly, I was able to do that just fine when it came to Resident Evil 7. I hated Resident Evil 7. I was even invited to Capcom, and I got to play 2 separate fucking builds of Resident Evil 7, and I hated it. And you know what I did? I decided to keep my mouth shut because I was in NDA, so I didn't really say anything about the second demo. But the first demo, because it was part of their public tour, I said something. I talked a little bit about some of the statements the devs made, and I left it at that. I made my peace, and I left it at that. I said I wasn't going to support the game, and I still haven't supported the fucking game. Surprisingly, Resident Evil fans such as yourself can't seem to do the same. You guys can't seem to look at a game, say you don't like it, and then just move on to something else that would appeal to you. I don't understand why that's such a hard concept to grasp, because to me, it's a very simple concept to grasp, and if I'm able to do it, then anyone else should be able to do it, no problem.
Yeah, that is a great idea. Let's wait until after they are done with the game and then tell them to add the original costumes into the remake that should have been there from the start.
I think at this point, complaining about some costumes which are already in the game available as free unlockable content is really redundant and would be null and void, especially considering the fact that Capcom right now is probably focusing on preparing the game for January 25th because it's its launch date, and you also have games such as Onimusha HD and Devil May Cry on the way as well. Very, very close releases to each other, by the way. Onimusha being released a week prior to Resident Evil 2 Remake, and then Devil May Cry 5 just a few months after Resident Evil 2 Remake. So there's a lot of things that Capcom would probably want to focus on, especially in this particular time frame, as opposed to some cosmetics that you want to complain about and make a big deal over.
And considering people have been waiting for this game since the GameCube, people have the right to voice their concerns over a product they have been waiting years for and will be spending their hard-earned money for. I don't think they should be insulted for doing so because you failed to see how another player might enjoy playing the game. For many, those costumes enhance the experience and adds value to the overall package, trying to earn and unlock them.
Yeah, sure, anyone can make their opinions, anyone can share their concerns, but that doesn't mean that those concerns or opinions are necessarily valid, especially when they're coming from somebody who is clearly misinformed about the product that they are sharing their concerns and opinions about. And this is also true when we're talking about something that is very subjective, like cosmetics, Gabriel. Only an imbecile like yourself would assume that cosmetics means that it's a valid concern. It is a very subjective fucking concern, and I think you are a fucking idiot for assuming that that makes your concerns any more valid than saying that you don't like the gameplay because it doesn't control well. Unless you had hands-on with the demos at one of the public show floors, I will not take your opinion seriously, and I don't think anyone should take your opinion seriously when it comes to the Resident Evil 2 remake. Your opinions on this are very subjective and invalid as far as I'm concerned. Now, as far as the whole waiting since the GameCube era for this remake is concerned, I just view that as entitlement. That's entitlement. There's nothing more that I could say other than it is just pure and utter entitlement. It is something that Capcom does not owe you. Capcom never owed you a Resident Evil 2 remake. They do not have to adhere to what people ask them to do. They can do with their product as they please. Now, granted, if you don't like said product and you don't like the direction that they're taking said product in, well, then refer back to earlier in the video where I said, vote with your wallet. But that being said, again, the point still stands that this just sounds like self-entitlement. And it's just childish. It's childish. Capcom does not have to make a game that appeals to you specifically. They have a wide variety of customers and they need to appeal to a broad demographic. Now, granted, appealing to too broad of a demographic can be a bad thing, but appealing to a small niche of consumers when it could potentially alienate not only a good portion of the player base that would be interested in a game like this, on top of the fact that it could actually cripple the game in sales, as we've seen in a previous video where I talked about sales numbers for the Resident Evil franchise as a whole. Well, then, yeah, that would be a really stupid idea to follow some self-entitled Resident Evil purist who think they know better than a multi-million-dollar company that makes video games in Japan. But what the fuck do I know? I'm just a guy on the internet arguing with some imbecile who thinks he knows better than me. But anyway, I really don't have much else to add to this particular comment that was left on my video. I just wanted to break down this comment because I felt it was so fucking stupid that I just had to really break it down. I also want to give a shout out to my friend Derek for doing the narration on the comment because that was a huge help on that particular front. So I will be leaving a link to his Twitter account as well as a little button icon that you should be able to click to his YouTube video. He does like animations and voice work as well as a lot of Twitch streams, which you should definitely check out. I might leave his Twitch account as well down in the description below. But that being said, you should definitely go check out my friend Derek. Tell him I sent you. And as far as that is concerned, or as far as anything else is concerned, rather, I really don't have much else going on. I'm just going to go ahead and continue to be hyped for these new and slightly old Capcom titles that are coming out because I just want to play some games and have fun. I really don't have time to bitch and complain about shit that's very minuscule and irrelevant because it's just not worth the time. But that being said, I will see you all in the next video, and yeah, bye.